Hey, what's going on YouTube? In today's video, I wanted to highlight a script I was looking to develop. Just recently, I ran into a business model where a company was looking to charge a friend of mine to monitor the dark web. In most cases, especially for passwords, which is what this customer was concerned about, it can be found on haveibeenpwned.com. For those that are not familiar with this, it gets databases that are leaked. It's not all of them. It does have a list on there, and it does provide millions of passwords that have been found over the years and gets uploaded to this website. And then you are able to pretty much pass through your password and search and see if any of these leaked databases exist or contain your password. So what I'm going to do for this video is we are going to not edit as much. We're kind of going to let it record, and I'm going to speed through the development process. Today, I want to show you how quick it could be using ChatGPT. It is a pretty simple concept. So all we need to do for this script is we are going to perform a GET request using the request library in Python, and we are going to use this URL, and we are going to provide the first 5 hash characters of our password using SHA-1, and that will return a list. And we will also have the full SHA-1 hash of the password to compare it against this list. And if it does exist, then we will say that password has been found or something like that, notifying me that my password exists on the leaked database somewhere. So like I said, we are going to use ChatGPT to help us out and show you how quick this could be done. And I will start now. So first things first is here is our password list. So I use KeePass. It is a free password manager, and it encrypts all the values. But in order to search for our password in the Have I Been Pwned database, we must provide a SHA-1 hashed value of the password provided. So we exported the CSV from KeePass, and this is what we were given. So in the Python script, we are first going to define a function, and that function will read from this CSV, and we will only look for the password value. So it would only get the third value in this line, and which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this one. And we will store that in a list, and we will use that list to in this GET request. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do real quick is we're going to ask ChatGPT to just kind of create a quick function to read a CSV. All right, so let's see what we got. So we got import CSV, so we're importing that CSV library. Here's the function that we created. It looks like we are going to pass through the CSV file here when it gets called. So here's the file path, which we will define. It initiates the variable myPasswordList, creates an empty list. It will try to do the following and then present an error. So if it does not find that CSV file, or if any other error occurs, it will present it as E and print that error here. We will be using the csv.reader, passing through the file. Check if column 3 exists. So obviously if column 3 doesn't exist, we don't want it to do anything. That's kind of what it's doing here. Password equals row. I think it's because it starts at 0 and then 1, 2, so this would be 3 if I'm not mistaken. And then my password list and append that password value, and then we're going to print it. So let's just go ahead and try this code out real quick. So I did a print statement to make sure it works. Real quick. So this is not going to be pretty. This is just going to be quick. We're trying to do it as quick as possible. And I'm going to paste the CSV here. All right, so I had to move the file. So I moved the database.csv into this directory that I'm working out of. So let's go ahead and just execute this and see what we get. So it looks like for whatever reason that did not work. Let's see why. Okay, perfect. So we got password 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have this one. We do not need this one, so what we could do is we could do that actually when we go through the next function. We could just start from Yeah, so we'll do that when we go through the actual passing through the request. We'll start from this and then move up. That's just a quick way to do it, because we don't need that. We don't worry about password. We're only worried about these 3 passwords, which are our passwords. All right, that's great. So the next thing that we want to do is create a function that performs a GET request against that URL. Actually, first, what we want to do is convert these values to a SHA-1. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so we asked it to pass through that password list. It looks like for whatever reason it defined a new password list as the example, but we already have that. So really all we want to do is we'll copy this section right here. Put that towards the top. The other thing that we want to do is we want to grab this. We could do it ourselves. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So this is my password list, but in this case it's password list. So we can comment this out. We no longer need that. And we'll just say print hashed spelled it wrong. There we go. So now we print hash passwords. So in this one, if we take a look at this function, it looks like it's going to pass through that password list, which we got returned earlier. And then for each of the password in the password list, convert to SHA-1. And it does that by using the hashlib library and the SHA-1 function. It uses the encode function within there. This is the password string value that we're looping through. Here's the hex digest. And then we are going to append that to our hash passwords, and then we are going to return hash passwords, which is what we are going to print here. So if we save that, let's go ahead and run without debugging. There we go. So it looks like we have the first 3 passwords here. We don't need this one, but like I said, we'll just, when we're iterating through it, we'll just start from the second position or position 1 in the list. All right, so the next thing that we want to do now is just perform, actually we want to grab the first 5 characters of each of these values. So what I'm thinking, what we could do, this is just off the top of my head, let's go ahead and assign this to a dictionary. No, we don't even need to do that. So let's go ahead and we'll just create another function. In that function, we will loop through this list, and we will grab the first 5 characters, perform the GET request, and then we will use the entire value to see if that exists in the response from the GET request. So let's go ahead and do that now. So this looks good from just a quick look at it. So here's another function, check passwords in Pwned API. This could be any name, obviously, and then we're going to pass through the hashed passwords that we just returned. Then we are going to create a prefix of the hashed password that we are iterating through, and we are going to use some string manipulation. So what this does is it will start from the very beginning and then capture the first 5 characters and assign that to prefix. Using an F string, we will place this prefix at the end, which is exactly what we want, of the URL in order to perform that GET request. Then we are going to create a response variable and assign that to the GET request, passing through the URL. If it is a 200, meaning that it was a good request and no errors or permission denied or anything like that, we then want to, so we create another variable, response underscore lines, and we assign that to, okay, so I think this is going to create a list essentially of each of the lines. So every new, here it says right here, I guess, split the response kind of into lines and check if the full, yep. I mean, that's pretty much what we asked. I think it's creating a list and it will split into a list for every new line. And then we're going to iterate through that new list that we just defined. So for if each line starts with prefix, I mean, I guess we don't really need to do that, but I guess let's see. So it says if line starts with prefix, extract the suffix from the response line, suffix equals line dot split. That's not necessarily what we need. I don't know what this is saying that. This is saying that if we had like the prefix separated by a colon, grab the, let's split that and then grab the second position in that, because this dot split puts it into a list. So that's not exactly what we want, but I think we could make do with this. So let's go ahead and we'll just copy this and kind of just do it ourselves from this point forward, because I think we could take care of the rest. So let's go ahead and get rid of, so we'll just import that at the top. Import requests, and we're passing through hashed. What did I just do? No, yeah, we don't need this. Let's just get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Well, we can leave that for now if we need to look at it some more. All right, so we're passing through hashed passwords, which is what we got here. Okay, I think what we could do, I don't think we need to do any of that. I don't know what that. Yes, we could capture the error, but I don't necessarily care about this for this script. So we can just get rid of the try and just bring this back one. Just to show you what I was saying. So if we did print response lines, it'd help if I spelled it right. So now if we run this, that looks like it did nothing, but let's try one more time and see what we're doing wrong. So for whatever reason, we are not getting anything. So I'm assuming we're not getting the status code here. So let's just see what status code we are getting. Okay, we're not even getting into, because we're not calling this function, so that would probably help. And then we're going to say pwned passwords equals, and then we're going to pass through has passwords. Yeah. All right, so that's what's going on right here. So that is exactly what I was saying, how it's going to. So if we did this on the, yeah, I'll show you what we would get on the internet. So let's, or if we did it like through a browser. So this is what we would get in the browser, and this is exactly what we're seeing. This is just an example. And these are the different values that have a prefix of 083E7. So we would need to capture the suffix because I believe, if I remember trying this out yesterday, that the prefix obviously is not included here. So we only would want the suffix. I guess maybe it knew what it was talking about because it does separate it and then grabs. Well, no, it doesn't, because then that would be that. But this is kind of what it was doing in that earlier version of that script. But now looking at this, we are going to need the suffix as well. So we'll do, and then we'll see if that exists. So let's go into so prefix, and then I think if we do, and just to verify, let's go ahead and comment these out because we no longer need this, and do suffix equals password. Let's go ahead and make sure that we see these values here, so we got 8B. Okay, so this is 8BE3C. That's this first one, which obviously we know we don't need. And it starts out with 9 on the next one, so we are missing one. Because we only got the 4, so let's fix that by doing 5. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but... Alright, so 8BE3C, 943B1, 8BE3C, 943B1, ends with 9D, 9D. Next one ends with 20, starts with 711. Alright, so that's just a quick way to verify that that works. So let's go ahead, we don't need that anymore. And now let's just go ahead, so now that we have the line split up, let's go ahead and say if suffix in response lines print I'm going to just leave this just like this, just to kind of highlight it. I think this should work, but let's see. That did not work. So we could get rid of this now. Just to play around before I dig into it a little bit further. It should be pretty easy. I'm just missing something. Let's get rid of this and let's go back to the split lines because I feel like that should have worked. I'm assuming it's because it's this value. It's not. It's comparing against this whole thing, I think, and not just looking at like part of it. And I don't remember if I could use wildcards or not. Let's see if... Let's use our ChatGPT friend. So that line is over. That string or that list is empty, obviously. So essentially is we are not getting if line prefix equals line suffix. Let's see what line prefix is. I mean, that looks like what we want, I think. I probably wasted about 10 to 15 minutes of my time not realizing it was right in front of me, and you guys probably seen it before me, but it's all part of the fun, you know. That's what we do here. We make mistakes, and we continue to make them. So with that being said, the thing that I noticed right here is like, oh, these are all uppercase, but I'm getting lowercase. And then I remembered that in here, when I was reading it the other day, I have to find it again. It does say, it says it's somewhere in here, but I'm not reading it because I'm probably reading too fast. But as you can see here, here's an example of it again, but it does provide it in uppercase. So it provides the suffix in uppercase provided by the, or followed by the number of times it's been found in leaked databases. So that should be easy enough. So all we have to do now is let's go ahead and get rid of the, actually that should be good like that. Let's clear this out. Let's change suffix, and we'll change this to upper. I don't remember if this is, I think it's called because it was a, I think that's it. We'll double check in a second. And one other change that I made while I was playing around, because I did not want to record 10 minutes of me running and running into the same problem. One other thing that I changed was instead of using a underscore, I assigned it to the variable count so that we could print this value here saying password hash. Here's the hashed password, has been pawned this amount of times. And then what I usually do is, I mean, not in this case since it's just a simple script, I do return a list so we could use this in a different function or whatever the case may be. But this is really what we're going after right here, just to get a simple list and see if our password has been pawned. So let's go ahead, and now if we execute this, there we go. And that is exactly what we needed. I didn't skip the first value, but I got the point across. So this is the password. Don't look at this one. I mean, that's still a good example, I guess, but this in the CSV was the password column header. So this is kind of irrelevant. These two are the passwords. This password hash value was 1234, and here's 123456. And you can see it has been pawned this amount of times along with this. And the last password that I passed through was a random value provided by KeePass, which is here, and it is showing that it has not been pawned because that hash value is not showing up in the list, as these two are the only ones showing. And that is it. All in all, we were able to monitor the dark web using or developing a quick API script that could pass through the passwords that we have in a KeePass file within, and if we export it to a CSV. So let's say you had hundreds of passwords for whatever reason, you could export it to a CSV and use this script to pass through each password and send it to the Have I Been Pwned API. And then depending on if it is found or not, it will print a screen saying you have been pawned this amount of times. So it's definitely super useful. And don't pay that guy that's trying to sell you dark web monitoring when he's just doing this exact thing. We could go a little bit further and go into ChatGPT and even ask it to create a GUI, or maybe even, let's say we were on a Linux machine. Let's do this on a weekly basis. Maybe create a job in crontab or cronjob, whatever the case is, and do this on a reoccurring basis, automated fashion, without us having to do this every time. This is just a quick highlight as to what I wanted to show you, that we could easily do this with ChatGPT, develop these scripts without any problems at all. Documentation is there. ChatGPT is great, and I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe for more, and as always, never stop learning.